but you probably will if you come to the gravity group thing. But I think a lot of times, because our society is sort of trapped in this complicated and clear stuff, that that when we actually go in to do complex work like we're doing here, and actually what I just heard in the SoftGov call, for example, is all about what governing constraints can we put on here as opposed to enabling constraints. And I think what a lot of times the role of the artist is to do is to say, hey, I'm giving you a way back. So a governing constraint only goes in the direction of this arrow, whereas an enabling constraint creates a bidirectional pathway from this complicated stuff that's knowable but not familiar back into the complex, which is kind of the realm of the artist. And the realm of the artist might even be back into the chaotic, if you know what I mean. So, so I guess my point about that is, that there is actually, a way that you guys could talk about this. And the way that I talk about the work that I do is to try to pull people, because what basically you can see this direction that we're going, right? We have a thing that we're dealing with, and then we kind of create a case around it, and then we're like, let's standardize it and become familiar with it, and then it becomes a standard. I think what an artist's job is to do is to work backward through this process, and to reverse the entire thing and to go, counterclockwise through the process. So if you're trying to talk to technical people and tell them what it is that you're doing, or why is it that what you're doing is valuable, and so on, you might use a translative tool like that.
Please share like an article around this, maybe on the Omega channel for those who have not heard about it before. Or I guess the specific video from the TEC channel where you talk about this in more detail.
Mm. Yeah, I'm talking about it
That
quite a bit.
that would be great. And also, we have one not sub, but one of the token engineering principles that we came up with, navigating dynamic landscapes, is building on Durgada's sharing these models, and especially the Skinifin, and also the models that he used to synthesize to make sense of this whole space. So we should definitely also make an effort to put this on the archipelago. So I think, yeah, that's definitely also an option that we should go for. I just shared the agenda and our archipelago in the chat for everyone to be able to follow. And maybe today we also make a quick check-in. These are new to me too, but I think that they're really useful to connect, and also to get an idea, and also to settle into what we want to synchronize on in the next hour. So, and to make it maybe a bit more directed, I would say let's make a round of check-ins, and please share anything you want to share, like your personal, how you feel, whether you're 100% or whether you will take it slow. And also towards token engineering Consilience library, which is the topic of today. If you want to, raise your hand that you have something special, that we take care that you get your say. And basically also anything else from this week around token engineering comments, and especially Omega. Any sessions that we had, if you want to share something from that, please do. And with that, maybe I start. From my side, I'm a bit off today, so I will focus on taking notes in the agenda and everything, and I'll do my best. But it would be great if someone else can take care of navigating through our board, and also navigate through the token entry Consilience library, the island that we have there. And with that, maybe I just give it to Satori. I see you next to me on the screen.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I just kind of wanted to piggyback on what Dogadas was saying, because we were talking about that a little bit when he stopped by the Imaginarium little jam session. I have a video coming out with that. But that kind of stuff, I think, ties into what I think is important for the Imaginarium kind of open jam session, is that we kind of share our latest kind of thoughts and make connections, because then from there we also too, I think, with Gene's work and also to sharing back, following up with each other, we started to form this kind of study group on this essay, and then even before the call we kind of got into more details on doing some workflow of getting into the research for that, and seeing how we could all fit together, which was cool, of how the merging and developing of that been happening. I've been excited about that stuff. Oh yeah, and then I've been doing crazy research with my mandala narrative, and it's fun. I think I have more to update one of my. It'll be separate soon, but my documents will have stuff about my mandala narrative research, which I think is fun. And I did was talking to Jolly, and he was doing his weird and in this way I use weird as a high praise for me. Saying something is weird is high praise for me. And so he was working on his Stargates, and we've been having fun with that. And I think they're really cool and really helpful. Um, just to have some fun dealing with some of the complexity and emergence that we have coming. With that, I pass it to anybody else wanting to share.
Well, I've got a couple of graphics to share that I don't know if I've shared with you folks before, if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I think a lot of what we're doing here is in this step 2 thing, right? So I've recently kind of become a little bit, what do you want to say, trying to figure out what are some of the things that I've noticed. And I feel like what we were doing was like, hey, we've got this abusive extractive culture and economy, and we just said, let's create a DAO. And we skipped over this middle part here. And the reason why I started participating in this group was because I thought that the cultural build was this thing. And what I see a lot of now, like I was just in SoftGov, for example, and I can see that there's almost none of this left in there after the because I feel like a lot of people say that the cultural build's done. But I think what we're doing is this is kind of a shadow thing in the middle, trying to say, I don't think we're actually a DAO. One doesn't just get to say you're a DAO. You actually have to do some steps in between. And I think this is in some way handled by Satoshi. You know, if you look at the mandate, right, there was a technology there, but you know that Satoshi had to have a underlying practical philosophy and ethical set up, you know, before they actually created that technology. And then they had to have a certain amount of humility to basically just become an invisible person and create a world changing thing without ever telling anyone about it, you know? And so I actually also think that there's a step beyond this where you can actually become deliberately developmental. And so I think in terms of ethical, work, I think it's important to understand how you get there from here, if you know what I'm saying. So that's why I kind of created this graphic, and I'd be interested to hear anybody's feedback on that.
Yes, this is hello everyone. It's quite noisy here, so I cannot follow very well like everything which is going on, but I will try my best. Regardless, it's like quite useful to have these kind of structures that you always present. Like we have this kind of methodologies we are trying to incorporate in our integral way of developing this specific work we are doing in Omega. So I guess this kind of introduction is more general for the whole Web3 space. And I feel here in Omega, we're just developing a different way of trying to feel things and do things, and it's quite different. So I will explore that in more depth instead of just trying to fit this expressly in this general way of developmental organizations, because we are exploring the dynamic energy budget, we're exploring our energetic links. So I think this is quite like a unique way, and it's different from the cultural bill as well. So yes, I will try today to put something into our minds or our bodies, just to what do you feel really that is the next step energetically for the whole group and for everyone in here. And I would say for myself, for example, I will try to explore this communications realm a little bit more that Solstice just put into the agendas, because I think that's something we may develop. So we are trying to do this poetics, this codex, these energy badges, and we may try to find these communications links we are missing here. And I will pass it to Bert. Please, if you want to say anything or just comment on your specific ways of feeling things. The other day you shared something about the library. Maybe you want to come back again to that.
Muted Durgada.
Oh, I was just gonna maybe say a follow up to
Yes,
that.
because it's like this is it's a quick round, so maybe just 3 minutes for everyone just to share something, not to be super long, and then we just see what is coming for everyone, just not to focus on anything specific, just to feel like other what people are here today and what are they feeling. And I said, Bert, yes, if he wanna share, or if not, he can pass it on to someone else.
You're muted if you're trying to speak. Maybe someone else can go along, Steph, and we'll come back to Mert.
Further away from the world, the pain too close. I had to take
I can't hear Steph.
time.
It's breaking up a lot.
Yeah.
Can you hear
For
me?
me as well.
Wait, I'll go closer to my router.
Yes, that works. It's not a modem, is it? Just kidding. Sorry. But closer to the router works.
Okay. Yeah, basically, I'm kind of thinking a bit about Les Gauche, going back to like the business model canvas that I made a while ago, and I'm thinking again like how to relate from there to Token Engineering Commons, maybe to the Commons Stack, also to Motion DAO. So I'm kind of like going a bit back to the local situation here with like the persons that are present in residency, and thinking how these things can actually connect with these Web3 developments.
it's also about like how to create other forms of work and what kind of social interactions does this imply. So I kind of am at the point where I'm really thinking about like kind of interactions and how does it also interact with persons without screens. Because I found myself sometimes like in the sense that I had to kind of like regain like my own sense of self. I'm not sitting in my computer kind of. So that's where I'm at, and I to see like how I can work together with different threads that have been developed because I'm quite interested in the Blender thing. I just have to kind of think how do I spend that it doesn't fragment too much. And pass it on to Mert. Are you there now?
Yes, I have a talk. I want to keep it short. So, yeah, like I just wanted to give the update that I prepared the administrative work guideline. We'll share to like now. And other than that, maybe I can say I would like to be the more like executor kind of anchor force within Omega. I feel that will help our work process. So I just wanted to say I will try to give my effort on that side as well. And I think the things that has been discussed is super interesting. Like I'm glad to be part of it. So that's my update. And I would like to pass it on Nick.
Thanks, Mert. I've been working on. Well, I started working on dynamic energy budgets with Jean and Nate and Satori as well. Today we had a meeting. We're kind of just starting to go into the research phase of it. And for the onboarding, I'm working on redesigning the archipelago so it's easier to use. Because right now it's a little bit crowded and there's a lot going on. It might be hard to use for new users, and trying to come up with feedback mechanisms as well. Trying to come up with ways for people to give feedback easily. And I'm starting to join Manu's One Capabilities Approach research. That's going to start next week. And Nate and I are also starting incentive design research with the goal of enabling token creators to build tokens that will incentivize behavior that leads to a sustainable world. We are going to be going into the research phase in the next couple of weeks for that as well. And I think that's it for Omega related stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. I pass on to Jean. You're muted, by the way. You're still muted.
In the meantime, does the research on initiatives, does it connect with the research that Mert is starting or has started about incentives or policies shaping our behavior and vice versa?
Possibly, I'll have to connect to Mert on that.
Okay, cool. And Mert, like that is still on your plate, or are you focusing on the administrative flows and things that we need to be doing?
No, I'm actually focusing. Like I finished the administrative guideline. It's just three things now, like forum process, proposal process, and community slides update.
Perfect.
But like we can always keep adding it once we find
You're
out
done, basically. Thanks a
repetitive
lot.
work. The second thing, I'm working on the research groundwork thing. Actually, like after we have discussed, I would like to maybe share an opinion. Like so, very briefly, one.
Can we put
Yeah,
that on to the next week?
Yes,
this
sure, sure,
research
sure.
groundwork, and that we have the remaining half hour at least to get to an update or to a synchronization on token engineering Consilience library,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who is working, what are we doing, and how are we working, like what are the different work styles and how do we connect them.
Okay, yeah, sure. Sorry.
John, we cannot hear you, so let's pass
Can you hear me?
it.
No?
Yes, now we can. Yes, go ahead.
No,
Now we
I
can hear
was
you.
just closing off. So now you have on the chat the link that Nick shared about a few Notion pages that are related to the dynamic energy budget. And I was really happy about today's meeting, which is really open, because I think that what we will try there is to figure out how we can both work creatively and more engineeringly together, and not one for the other or one at the service of the other. And it's also, if you want to read it, or at least the intro, the goal is clear that it has not, I mean, it has little to do with energy in terms of our personal energy. Of course, it has to do with that, but it's very little. It's really about the economy and what does that mean to create and produce in the world and overall. So it's more about economy than about personal something. And so I was really happy about today, and I think I start to have a very clear vision of where we can go to, and I also feel better because I start to swim better within Omega. So thank you for all that, and it was really great last Monday. I still think that yes, we need to open each other more to different ways of thinking and. But yes, it's a process. And I pass to Sebnem. Or you already talked? I don't.
Yeah. I just pass it on to Bianca. Welcome, Bianca. You are muted if you're trying to speak. Yeah.
Hello. This is my first time in the Omega call. I come from the Gravity Working Group. We are doing a research on how to implement psychology in Web3. Durgadas was helping us a lot last week, giving us a lot of material to be looking for. And Durgadas and Bear told us to come to the Omega call and trying to sync to see what we can do together, because you guys also work with articles and researchers and stuff. So I'm here to trying to connect both groups.
Perfect. Who do we pass it on to next? Alex? Alex Reagan. We have a new regenerative member. Do you want to speak, Alex? You're muted. Yeah.
Hi, sorry. Let me
Hi.
sort myself out. Hi, so this is the first time I'm joining the Omega call. I'm really interested in token engineering and its application to refi and other sort of regen projects. So I just joined to get an idea of what goes on at during these calls, and that's it really. So not much to share, unfortunately, but nice to meet you all.
Welcome. Welcome. And you
Yeah,
said
welcome.
refi.
Yeah.
Regenerative finance. So we're also questioning, like we're talking about making everything regenerative. Are our workflows regenerative. That's one topic maybe also Bianca is relating to. And mostly Omega is about token engineering ethics and ethos. And one special, one thing that really draws everyone is the diversity that we have in the space, people coming from various backgrounds and across the globe. And we're connecting, and basically the groundwork here is to figure out what that connection is. And a lot of research, but the diversity aspect, diverse perspectives, and token engineering ethics, just to give you some hints, but also feel free to ask questions. That's how onboarding gets best.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And also feel free to share whatever comes to mind in the chat. So welcome.
Thank you.
Enrico, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi everyone, and welcome Alex and Bianca. I've actually been offline for a couple of weeks, so it was a great opportunity to kind of connect with nature and really just kind of take things a bit internally. I kind of related to what Steph was saying about feeling a little plugged to my laptop for a while. So I think it's important to be in other spaces, so you can really kind of reevaluate what is important and why you're doing what you're doing. So it's lovely to be back and to connect with everyone. And I'm kind of just reading up on everything that's been in the chat. So there's lots going on. Lots of boards have been posted, so I'm trying to catch up. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. And maybe we can hear from Letty. Thank you.
Yes, I already went, and I think we did a full round. So I will take it back to the Consilience library a little bit, and I will just make a little bit of recap. There is someone else, Misa?
Sorry, Satori hasn't gone yet, I don't think.
Sorry? Can you say that again?
Satori hasn't gone yet.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was the first.
Oh,
yeah, he was the
okay,
first.
okay, got it. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry.
So,
Yes,
but
one
second, let's see. Before we go on to Nick, do you want to share the screen with the initiative so we can maybe take notes on that as well? So, we're trying to figure out who, not figure out, but actually keep track of who is already has been contributing, how are they contributing. And today we can try and actually have that update on the board. But also, of course, this is an invitation. This is your board, and you are welcome to, update your newest contributions to the token engineering library or your questions and so on. And we can basically use that board to also keep track, also document how we work, who is working, and of course, all of that will be input into our dynamic energy budget research or regenerative workflows research, like how are we working together and how are we going to make those values visible, accounted for, and how do we share the value that we're creating, how do we capture and share the value that we're creating. Okay, and everyone, basically you could also just use the link in the chat to just jump into the Figma board that we have. I shared the link and it should bring you right to the TE Consilience library. Either you can follow on the screen if that works, or jump directly into the board. And if you click on the profile picture of Nick, for example, then you will be following her and knowing where we're at, or you can follow on the screen. So, and I'm hoping that that will give us enough structure to follow the current work, ask questions, and feel our way through to what is the next adjacent possibilities that we can reap here for the token engineering Consilience library. Okay, a couple of people are here: Satori, John, Nick, and myself. I'm assuming the others are following in the stream. I don't see the stream yet. Now I see it. Okay. So I think everyone is following. Okay, let's go in. What I will do is I'll just take notes also in the agenda. Okay, and yeah, Letty, please go ahead. Share your update question, what you've been working on or planning to work on. And or other way around. Nick, do you want to give an update on, because you have cleaned this area up because it was sortable? Yeah, please give an update on that, because that looks beautiful for those who like, you know, sorted areas. This is a very well sorted area, and I think that the ways to contributions are becoming more and more clear and easily for newcomers to follow. Okay, go ahead, Nick, and then Letty, you can basically jump in as soon as we have the overview on the structure updates. Okay.
So to the very right of the initiative is the separate Fig Jamboard. Last call, it was suggested to create a separate Fig Jamboard, which when you click on it, if you click on it and then click this button, it should open up in a new tab for you. And then you'll see the original bloom or the original archipelago for the library. And I kind of made boards on the side here where you can list what you're working on. And then we can include docs and announcements and call to actions. And then if there's any need at all, or like if you want to invite people to join you in whatever you're working on here, you can just post about it on here. And I also documented everyone's energy contribution in this table here, you can see. And I also made graphs on those contributions. Yay, graphs. Such fun. Okay.
That was so nice to be able to share that last week, to be honest. I don't know, Mert, you did the community update, but I think that gave such a succinct overview. And maybe for the ones who are new and also for others who need an update, like where do those energy flows come from, or those numbers, if you will? And
yeah, so it looks like we're getting the most energy on ideating and value flows. So I guess that's where most people are interested in, and then coming up with ways on how to be a self-sustaining library. And then next up would be like curation for the library. And then the very last low energy initiative is actually building the prototype. So I guess we want to make sure we go through this first.
let me give a hint. Like, if you want to talk value flows, we need to talk and create value first, then we can make it flow. but no, that's super cool to see. Number one, if it energizes people, we can actually use that to make contributions happen. Like, we can create the environment where people actually learn and discuss value flows, but actually on making the library happen, while making the library happen, right? So these are things to think about. And like, if you don't know what does it mean, definitely take the onboarding with Nick. Basically, these energy levels are people, you know, telling themselves what energizes them, why would they want to contribute to the library, and what they would want to contribute. And basically, these are the numbers that they share. I think we had an abundance, meaning, you know, you can be very energized, and maybe even this work is the source of energizing you. But it's also possible, for example, I did limit my energy. I said I only have 10 points, and I had really hard time thinking and deciding where do I actually put my energy. How do I household with my energy, which is the meaning of economy, basically householding.
But
Okay.
can I say something? Can I say
Yes,
something?
please.
Because it can be an exchange, because you can, use 10 point of your own energy in something, but by doing it, you get some energy as well.
Totally. And
So
that's
do
why I
you
think
see?
we can. Mhm.
I mean, so is it something that
Yeah.
you consider in the way you evaluate it, or?
Yeah, but I also realized that is happening somewhere else. Like here, I'm mostly providing, but I also had a thought about it. There are really areas that I also consider a source of energy for sure. It happens here, and that's another thing. I believe these energy levels or this numbering are supposed to be changing over time. So these are all things I'm also taking note, and would love to join the DEP soon. But I think these are the insights. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, an additional thing I would like to say is that because we are not machines, depending on the time of the day that we do something, our energy level vary also because of the sun,
Right.
or the daylight or night light. We are living organism. So just trying to figure out.
No, this is super cool. Just like I think, ideating on bioflows, but also even using token entering Consilience library as a concrete work that is happening where that research can get insights from, just as a side note, are things that will happen for sure. Okay. So, and also onboarding, I think, Nick, like when we zoom in into the token entering Consilience library, will you get insights for onboarding from that? What do you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Actually, what Jean brought up about energy exchange, that's how I'm hoping to update the onboarding. So it kind of, you can list well, we've already listed what drains you, but we haven't actually applied it to the archipelago. So figuring out how that connects, and also enabling or encouraging people to do restorative activities as well to bring their energies back up.
Cool.
Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I
Yeah,
understood.
perfect, perfect. Okay, so now we're ready to jump into the Consilience library. Letty, give us
Again,
your
click here.
updates. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Let's
was
all
really
click
like
in.
relating a lot with the living organism thing you were saying. Because for example, I initiated this call and I was like in a little bit of uncertain state because I felt that I was like very low in my energy and I couldn't listen to you very well. So for example, my living organism was lacking something. And I decided, well, I'm here in an Indian restaurant, so let's replenish my energy. So I came in and I'm eating a coconut bread, which is like super good. So I am just feeling my energy being replenished, not by you guys, but by this coconut bread. So it's like, okay, right now
Got
it's
it,
doing
got
very
it.
good, very good to me. Okay, right? So it's like sometimes you need like something external, even if you are like in an interaction that you really love and feel like it's super worthy. But again, you feel like this external thing just add to the experience. And maybe we can follow on this idea of the adventure itself. I would like I see like 4 adventures like has been initiated by each of you. Maybe we can just link the archipelagos to the adventures, and this can be like the setting scheduler for something external happening as well. So I think like the depth, Jean and Steph and Satori are doing this kind of jamming sessions, so they can maybe link the archipelagos with adventures and say, okay, we are meeting this way, or we are just having this energy replacing this way, and we can just explore this way. So see, maybe we can link all the adventures. Like Satori is working with the Codex Poetic, and this is super creative, and it is exploring this psychology research, this game. So you see like two games happening at the same time. The Satori game, which is the how do you call it, Satori? Can you remind me of the name of it? Because it has a name, right? Satori, where are you?
I was talking and my microphone was off. I'm sorry. The
You're in a
NFT.
story moment. It's not Kensho. You have to speak.
Well, one of them is the NFT self-discovery game, which is kind of about all of this.
Discovery game. That's it. So we have that.
And that's
Nice.
too, like,
and that's one adventure for itself. So it's like you can jam it on Mondays and say, okay, this is our game, and we will have this kind of creative session. So I see the adventure as well. And this discovery game is somehow also related to the game Solstice is creating, which is more connected to the ethical path. But I see like those are very connected, and those can replace the energies at the same time. Because I see like ideation a little bit connected as well, and this could be connected to the value flows, like with the more energetically value flows, trying to know how this will be like self-sustainable. So I see those very
Cool.
And this is like also connected to the workflows, how we operate, and we see, like we also need to go our energies. So maybe we can make like a habit of itself, like how do we feel for next week, or what is like we feel more compelled to hear, and it's not okay, I'm here eating my bread, but I feel like this is super valuable, so I want to be here as well. So I will try to put my value like in presence, and for me like presence this week is my top 10 thing. So that's like the thing I want to create next week as well. So I remain in my presence, and that is like upping my energy like 80%, and I will contribute more to the presence energy. And we can make like maybe graphics of this in the coming weeks and connect to the nucleus sign, because we'll see like this energy is going up and down and doing this kind of blender render you guys are doing. We will see this connecting to the time, so we can just create that as well with the adventures. So I see the creative flow in this way, like we can self-sustain this. We explore with the NFT games, and we'll see how this connects back to the value flows with ourselves and the energetic like transactions as well.
So we definitely should get into the Monday session if you want to be more knowledgeable about that. And also you have write-ups of those sessions, and we can also are there also recordings of Monday sessions?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I definitely like people who want to get a hold of what's happening with the workflows. Definitely don't miss that. Try to catch up. I'm also trying to catch up. So, it's always. But I think it's super interesting. And I see some things connecting. And let's have that next week's agenda. Those workflows, process flows. The updates that we get, like literally we have funding and the contributions that have been done, and now finishing the prototype that we can do. So we need to connect those dots that are ripe or areas that are ripe. So yeah. Okay, cool. Anything else? Let's see. Contributing to the to the Consilience library concretely, like any creations happening or about Omega creation or something like this?
Yes, I was thinking about the last week conversations we have, like these silos. I don't remember very well the context or how this came about, but we were saying like every silo was like empty of knowledge, so we couldn't just explore this maybe in a more academic or in the case of flower per se, because we were feeling like if we go to one specific petal or one silo, we feel like there is no worth in it in a way. Like this has been so emptied of connection of or in transdisciplinarity and of novelty that we feel like the values in connecting those dots somehow. So I feel like this curation library has to explore specifically those things. Like maybe I see like two ways of doing this. Like we can go one way, try to structure like a new wiki web3 library and say this has value for the whole ecosystem, and we can be like super structured mechanistic and say this has value as well, because this can be something for the whole web3, and though that would be like the super engineered library. And then the actual value will be like in our own energies, like what is the specific reasons we want to create in that space, which is like the adding value to the empty or to the dark matter. So I feel that's the value in exploring those three buckets we had.
Cool. Okay, let's get there. So, who's next? Like, who has been contributing to the library? Who wants to share what and how, and what are they planning next? Anything that you're missing to be able to contribute to the library?
I just wanted to like kind of add to that where a recent emergence of what's happening is basically this too, exploring the relationships. Also too, I think what's been coming up for me, what I've been reading from like the collective narrative in a sense, is this relationship and boundaries and space that we give to be able to metabolize these ideas and so giving space to, like, even for me myself, is to space for being creative, not just researching on being creative, and for how that helps me for my own energy and stuff like that. And I think, even stepping away from the computer, unplugging. I think like 2 weeks ago I talked about a silent retreat that I went on. That was about to just kind of get a boundary from the technology, and stuff like that. But it's all emerging and connecting, I think, at least from my perspective.
Okay.
Well, from my perspective, I could say that in the next coming weeks, I'm gonna be working a bit more at the gallery space. I'm thinking to work a bit more on music. So, like, what the direction is that I'm kind of wondering about is to make something artistic that can relate to this kind of field in between the petals. This kind of trance spaces where it's not yet clear which discipline it is about.
Nice.
What I'm kind of resisting, or what I'm kind of resentful of, is to have this kind of art that is about technology. Because personally, I kind of like find it a bit like not cool to make a rap song about like HTML or something. Although it's fun
Why
to
not?
think about it. No, I
Please.
rather I
Make a
think
rap song about. Oh, I have to share some rap songs with you about economics, Hayek. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the whole thing that I'm like confronted with here in Brussels is like I'm trying to connect the local community, which has zero interest in like what doesn't happen on their bank account. So persons that are completely not connected with this world. I'm really thinking about how to make artwork which is not about Web3, but uses this technology in a way that it creates a solidarity economy. The work that the art is about is not about like hyping or getting people excited about technology, but could actually be artwork, which then makes it self-evident as a side effect that this technology is actually adopted. That's kind of like my approach for this.
And
I
what
don't
do you
know.
think? I mean, the library is about token engineering, if you will, but I mean, it's more about consilience of a range of knowledge. I mean, if you can weave that into your art, it doesn't have to be about technology. Token engineering is, only half about engineering and tech. The other half is about humanities. So yeah, like share your resentment and share your resistance points also in the chat. I think those are always very powerful if one can kind of transcend, and definitely looking for your music, like anything you want to try out.
Yeah, like I'm thinking about it, like how can I make like proactive kind of interactions? Yeah, this is just like what I'll be busy with in the coming next weeks, and like potentially also involving other persons in this, but just a bit again, like it's this kind of moment that I don't have enough time to really dive into this engineering field, so I feel a bit like it's too much of me to learn all this in a too short amount of time. And on the other side, I'm just thinking about like, yeah, how can it actually create a win-win situation for both dynamics, that it's kind of this surplus energy that kind of starts to exist. So that's why I'm trying to think from it from yeah, like this kind of human perspective, and thinking about like what is what's in common there, you know, like because somewhere I feel it's still a bit alienating to constantly have this imaginary relations through this type of technologies.
Yeah, thank you for sharing this. So just one update from my side, because it's maybe hopefully suitable and also maybe interesting for Alex. So we have a refi bootcamp, regenerative finance bootcamp coming up, starting first week of May, and we should be having the application announcement soon. One thing I could put extra effort in actually to have concentrate. Refi curation, like a curation, collective curation on refi, meaning how DeFi and those primitives from the space cryptoeconomics is helping or can be applied to regenerative efforts, specifically finance of regenerative ventures. And maybe like that could be maybe helpful. Maybe we can through that connect to more than just the people who are interested in the engineering side of things, and maybe that is also more accessible to such local communities that you're in contact with. Solidarity. Okay, then I'm gonna make a note. That's something I could push a bit harder to provide. For the library. I also feel like we need like the curations that, as Steph says, create the surplus energy, like that become exiters. Just because of that curation, more and more things happen. That would be wonderful. So if you have ideas there, who to approach, and I mean those who we have approached, if you're assuming, I think Curve Labs have some things like this also.
Where do we put
Matt.
the curations?
What do you mean?
Where do we put the curations? Because I think Manu has shared the template with a couple people, and then we made one as well. Where do we?
Yeah.
Where are they collected?
They should be collected on the board for now. I mean,
Okay.
for the prototype, especially also that we see what is happening and get some ideas. So having things to be connected on the board is good, and as soon as there is enough to connect and figure out the next direction, then again we can sort and clean up. But for the prototype, I think Google Docs and G Drive will be it. And for the content of the prototype, we still have the Notion. I think Letty also points to that we should put every content stuff in Notion first. And then Steph can take whatever is clear or updated onto the current website prototype. Is it okay?
Yeah, do you want me to update something on this website or?
I don't think we have anything new for now.
Yeah, I saw that
Maybe
the
it's
Notion was a bit updated, so I thought of like
okay.
just again like making the sync between the Notion and just this website thing, but I don't know if it's very useful at this point in the project.
Yes, maybe we can just keep the Notion as it is right now. And I really like the template for the creation is very good for the moment being. So we just need, if someone does it, we just need to collect the links. And I see like the Figma board is super good to see the visual links. So I will keep like this creation template in mind, because if we just manage and we see like this is like the way we feel it has to be created, the whole thing, we can just explore this with the in a structured way. But what I feel, and that's super good that you share this opportunity just to maybe come together in a more bootcamp style and just let the flow of the creation happen, and maybe the NFT world and the artists and all the designers will feel like this is like an open invite to do this, and we can just maybe feel this how it goes, and then create around the specific NFTs. And I see like we can just open this to an Omega creation as well. Let's say, okay, we can hear as a group in a way with our energies, and we see, okay, let's build on the artistic side. And I see Steph is like trying to say it's super difficult to think about these silos or the disciplines and say we can create art thinking about economics, right? Because what do you do? Like the prisoner games and user building but if we feel like the regenerative style is like what we aim for, we can just create art on it as well. I see the energetic part of it like being super connected to this space, right? Because we get energies from a lot of the natural world, right? The photosynthesis, phytoplankton. We were talking about this kind of nature energies. So I feel like this silent coming together in the bootcamp, we can feel the NFT world game, and maybe Satori will be like there as well, and we can just create from that. But I feel like the structured library is still a thing, because we feel like this is something we are connected to. So maybe it's something to stay with and say, right, maybe this is like a future initiative. Like we are doing this now, but it's like something very sustainable, but we are just co-creating on it. And it's not super clear, but it's there. So I feel like it's like a good avenue for research, like still with a grazing template, saying about it and putting the creative structure, which will be the interconnections. And we don't manage to do that because it's like super dark and it's super difficult to feel like what is the limit of space for that.
So okay, basically, is it okay? Like I'm hearing next Monday we get together around the bonfire in the creative flow session, and feel our way into our Omega curation. I see that happening, to be honest. Like some sharing what readings actually influenced them to be even find their ways here. And maybe share on those or anything that comes up, and also these ideas about the NFT self-discovery game might bring in insights into how to make these creation templates more engaging for curators. that
Right,
would
because
be
maybe that's the
something.
incentive we're lacking, like the specific mechanism incentive to make this like super engageable for people, and that maybe is connected to the roles, right? If we just feel that our energy is the shaman or the builder or the coder, we'll create around that, and we don't feel like, oh, it's the disciplines, and I don't want to just add a link. I just want to feel like what I'm creating, and that's like the
That's
interconnections
important.
to the specific racing we're doing.
Gotcha. Nice. Okay.
We could even test that in the onboarding too. Maybe I'll.
Tell us more.
I was just gonna say there was this like emerging metaphor that happened on Monday. It was about like vessel, water, and clay. And to this extent, I'm thinking about the creative kind of jam session, and even to encourage what Steph is thinking, because I'm thinking that for my own self. Like for us, we need like the raw clay, and so like that part is like mixing dirt and water together, and then we're making the clay, and then like later it's like, okay, then we form it, and then we start like curating our own thoughts and our own feelings about it, and then like that becomes like stuff that we put into like the library. It's like portions within the projects. I think
So
that's how I
Bianca,
feel about it.
oh sorry, Bianca, would you maybe like to join us on Monday, where we go through the creative flow of curating for the library, and then maybe you could bring in the psychology research that your group has been working on.
I'd love to. That sounds very good. What time is it's the call? Is it in a TC calendar?
No, it's not yet. What time should we do it at?
I mean, the first time we did it at 9. Well, this is my time now, the Pacific Standard Time in the morning. But the last time we did it at 8. It really doesn't matter. I'm good in the morning to do it. But I think too for like the what I'm thinking about doing with the NFT kind of self-discovery game. It's about like those little insights that happen along the way that we share. And so like, with the psychology like research, that's part of it. Like having these like little wisdom guides that we find through our journey in Web3 that help us to embody this kind of like wisdom we discover as we do this research and we work together.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I'm super excited.
You said 8 a.m. your time, right? I think that's 9.
Yes.
Time.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
PST.
Well, that's fine. I mean.
Wait.
Okay. So we are approaching the end of today's time budget. Anyone who had contributed to the Token Engineering Consilience library and who wants to, who wants to add it to the board?
Just click here.
No.
And then,
yes.
And then it'll open this. Okay, click here, and then this button, which opens this up. That's how you get there.
Cool.
Sounds
And
good?
if anyone has problems,
Tag me.
always ask.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everyone. I also took notes in the agenda, and we'll clean it up and share afterwards. So on Monday we meet to explore the NFT self-discovery game as part of our own curation and how we might make use of it also for curators for the lib and just have experience with it, because it obviously touches more spaces in Omega than just the Consilience library. And next working group session would be then about the whole flows, like the workflows, process flow. Finally, that Marit also gets to show, or we all know what is actually the things that need to be done to get funding and so on and so forth. The whole process, how tech actually organizes work. And then how are we going to actually infuse it with the creative flow and the energy flows, and understanding more about our research groundwork. Good. That energized me as well. I feel now better after hearing all of your contributions. Have a great day or night then, and we see each other next Monday, most of us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.